Yo, what's up, yo? So I'm back at my parents' place. So that's why there's a change in scenery. But yeah, we're going through some oscillations. Things have been changing. Bit of a return to center. Bit of a come back to where I came from. Kind of recollect and process type beat. You know, kind of integrate and shit. Build the foundation up again. Not again, but it got shaken, and so I need to like allow it to restabilize and to fractalize out from where we're at. Like, hey, this is the new chapter. It's a new starting the cycle. We closed one, starting another. And I'm a little self-conscious about it because it's my parents' place for a freaking name in this economy. Like, fucking. Yeah. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah. I think I mentioned that. But fucking. I don't know. Fucking. I can't even. Yeah. So I'm basically making this video to like be a bit of a door, be a bit of a open, bit of an open doorway for my higher self to see what comes out. I have no idea what it might be. I have no idea. I don't know if it's gonna be good. I don't know if it's gonna be worth listening to. I have no idea. But hopefully anybody watching this can gather something valuable out of this. It can, create some understanding of the self in some kind of way. I don't know. Hopefully somebody can get something out of it. It'd be cool. I have no idea. So let's see what happens. So lately I have been quite I've been meditating on, I guess, preoccupied, whatever you might want to say, quite a bit with this idea, trying to basically figure out if we choose what we believe, or if, I guess, like, how much choice we have over what we believe. I've been kind of trying to figure out if there's a way, like if I even have like the control to just be like, stop believing that without like a reason, without like some evidence that has come into light that has like, hey, without that, I don't know if it's possible to tell yourself to stop believing something without repression. I don't think it is. And it's like, the only reason I really wanted myself to stop believing it is because I kind of had to conceptualize that in order to progress, you needed to like be empty and nobody. But I think I'm kind of remembering, I guess, that it's not about being empty and being nobody. It's about being rooted in that being the fundamental you, and kind of ruling the body from that perspective, with all of its rich internal world and all the stuff that goes on inside and all the, it's not about emptying it out. It's not about clearing it. It's not about wiping it completely clean. It's not about burning it to ash with no trees in sight. It's not about that. I think I was kind of going too far in one direction for a long time. I was like stuck. And there was like all this stress and all this ego and all this like, it was just like a bunch of identity bullshit. And I call it bullshit. It's a bit of a bad habit. Kind of like stuff that I would prefer me to not spend as much time on as I do, I guess. But we don't like. Sometimes you spend time on this, sometimes you spend on another. Okay, so like, I don't know, man. It's like, I guess I feel like my superego got hijacked a little bit. Like, my clarity was kind of fucky. I don't know, like, for some reason I had it stuck in my head that I needed to prove things, that I needed to like assert this and like be validated by the world and like get validation from the world and make it real in some kind of way. And like we've been like going through back and forths about it, and I guess we're kind of like coming to the realization that like things like identity, things like purpose, things like meaning, things like any idea about who we are, it's like a color. Like it's as real as a color. Are colors real? It would feel pretty fucking weird to say like, no, they're not real, because like there's color. You're experiencing color. There's color. Is it real? I don't know, you're experiencing it. Is it real? Well, no, right? Like, you can't touch color. You can't get a sample of color. You can't have it in a vial. You can have pigment. You can have molecules that contain color, that create the refraction where color exists in your mind. Like, you can't put it into a bottle. You can't hold it in your hand. It's not a thing. It's abstract. It's qualia. It's not tangible. It's just not tangible. Identity is not tangible. And I think we've been struggling a lot to like, I don't know. It's like I have an identity conceptualized. I have beliefs. I feel like I know who I am and stuff. And like, I don't know, a part of me got very, I suppose, like, I was afraid that I would become complacent. I was afraid that I would stop meditating. I was afraid that I was going to start putting my attention exclusively in bad directions, and like that it was going to stay there, and like I needed to completely rework the whole goddamn thing in order to get myself out of that situation. But it was a bit of a misunderstanding. Like, I actually don't have control. I don't have that much control. I wish I had more control than I do when it comes to identity and identity selection. Like, I'm sure as everybody else, we all wish we could just pick who we could be, which you kind of can. But it's a yin-yang. We could pick some aspects. And there's some aspects that are picked for us. Things like genetics. Things like heritage. Things like karmic histories. Like where you're born. These are things that the deepest part of the self, the unconscious, picks and creates. But I have no awareness of making these choices. I have no awareness of, I can't go and unchange those things. Like, I can't go in and change my eye color. I can't go in and change my hair color. Like the DNA, hair color, how it grows out of my skull. I can't go in and change, I can't change a belief unless I've observed and seen, found evidence that creates a change in understanding on the inside. That turns a key of understanding that causes the old belief to get burned away. It's like, there's no way to make yourself stop believing something once you accept it as a belief and as something that you think is true. Like, once the perspective has done this, there is no way to just poof, there it's gone. You can do that, it's repression. Like every time I do that, it's repression. I hold down my high heart. I was gonna say heart, but it ends up being the whole heart, but it's at the high heart level in the thyroid. Every time I try and tell myself to let go of a belief, to let go of something without evidence as to why the belief was wrong, just because of what was happening in my life, I decided that was the thing that I needed to hold very tightly and to control. I used it as like a leverage for self-control, because I felt like I didn't have much control over what was happening to me in my environment, with all this change, with the moving and all this. I felt like I didn't have much control over what was going on. And yeah, like, we have control over what we do, but we don't have control over what happens to us. I mean, I have control over where I move, but things like the stress, things like the direction it went in for a little bit, You don't have control over what happens. You don't have control over the experiences and the emotions that you have. Do you have control over how you feel? No. You have control over how you choose to respond to anything that happens to us in life. That's it. That's it. How you choose to respond. How you choose to respond. That's it. And I think I've been trying to basically force myself into a box. Force myself into a box of, I'm not this. Yeah, at first it was like trying to force myself into a box of like, I can only be this and I can't expand. But that kind of just happens over time anyway. Like, as you learn things about yourself, good or bad, kind of happens. As we make choices, as things develop, like, it's just kind of happened. And eventually I kind of boxed myself into, like, it was kind of toxic, actually. It was like there's no way, there's just no fuck, I couldn't be. Like, it's delusional, toxic, and unhealthy, and narcissistic to believe these things. But myself, like the consciousness, the discerner, couldn't help it, because it was just doing its best with what was presented in front of it. Like, it was doing it was coming to a conclusion based on what it saw. Whatever it came to a conclusion. And just telling it that it was wrong, telling it that it was insane or bad or evil or narcissistic or disgusting or any of these things, for coming to that conclusion is damaging. It's damaging to your perception. It's very damaging to your third eye chakra. Because the self is not stupid. The self is not stupid. None of ourselves. The self is not stupid. It doesn't just believe. I mean, maybe everybody's different to some extent, but I don't know, man. I don't know how many people like just hear something and instantly believe it. That's not what I did. Like, I heard it on the inside. I did not believe it at first. I thought it'd be cool. I didn't believe it at all. I was like, it couldn't be true. I was like, no. I was like, there's no way. I was like, all these things. And then all this shit happened afterward. I'm sweating a little bit. My sacral chakra's unlocking. Yeah. Fucking. Yeah, all this stuff happened afterward. And I don't know if. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna gaslight myself like that, I guess. But yeah, just the things that played out after that initial direction point. Like, this is what you are. Everything that happened afterward, it was like, and once I started looking at my past through that lens, kind of, through that scope, it was like, I don't know, it was like, yeah, like I don't, dude, like, it made sense. It lined up, it connected the dots, it painted a picture that seemed coherent, as opposed to just a bunch of disjointed kind of just like, why the fuck would this happen? Why does it be like this? Like, I still don't have all the answers, obviously, but I just have more than I did before I had that bit of information. Like, my life seemed very confusing, chaotic, and like, I don't know, it seemed like there was just a bunch of things happening in it that I had no good way of understanding or explaining why the fuck they'd be happening to me, especially when and how. It was like, I didn't have any peers. I didn't have anybody that I could like relay these experiences. I shook my head. Am I being candid? I think I'm being candid. Am I? I hope I am. I think I am. What's this doubt? This is called gaslighting. It's called self-gaslighting. Like, I'm being as candid as I know how to be. Like, yeah, I'm relaying my experiences. Yeah, dude. I lost my train of thought as fuck. But okay, yeah. don't even know what the fuck I was saying, but I can't blame myself for coming to these conclusions and making these connections. Like, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. It helps me to understand myself better. It helps me to see myself and to create and to generate, to produce, to be productive, yeah, to be part of the world, to be connected and stuff. It's me. It's like I can't take out that bit and then like, can I take out that bit? I guess I can like pull it over there. This is fascinating. I know I'm learning a lot. But yeah, I still got a shit ton to learn, and I still could be wrong as fuck. Always. This is something that I'm coming to terms with as well. Like, whatever we do believe, for the sake of coherence, and for the sake of kind of alignment with the body, for the sake of being in the body, and for the sake of being unconditional, whatever you do believe, it's very important to believe it with all of your heart, to not repress it, to not judge it, to believe it with all of your heart, and then to keep your mind open to new insight and to new input. To keep your mind open, because you always could be wrong, because we're always operating from a limited perspective. Always. A singular perspective in this giant sea. So whatever you do believe it all the way. Believe it fully, without judgment, with acceptance, with love, and with compassion. But it has to be held with this like silk thread, with this willingness. It's a willingness to be wrong. Being open to being wrong. In the pursuit of wisdom, in the pursuit of truth, in the spirit of show me the truth. It's very important to believe whatever the fuck you believe, all the way, and to know that it always could be wrong. The key is not to get rid of belief. The key is not to get rid of your beliefs just because they're becoming inconvenient, or just because it's a way that you can find control, you know, if you're struggling, which is what I was doing. There's a lot of kind of internal projection too, like stuff that people, I say people, it wasn't a whole bunch of people, it was fucking, it was internal, like, the type of BPD that I got, like, I tend to, instead of creating conflict and arguing and shit with somebody, like if somebody says something that makes me feel a certain way, what I tend to do is flip it around and like I'll just be like, yeah, it's all good, whatever, dude, like, without like letting them know how I feel, like standing up for myself and shit, bit of a doormat. And then what I'll do, because I fucking got tired of it when I was a kid, I couldn't stand up for myself when I was a kid. I didn't have the self-esteem and self-confidence, and I didn't have any of that. I didn't think I should stand up for myself as a kid. I didn't understand that. But the type of BPD that I got, I fucking take that anger that I might feel towards somebody else, like if somebody mistreats me or whatever the fuck, I take it and I aim it inward at myself, because that's all I could do when I was little. It's all I could do. I couldn't get rid of the emotion, so I would just take it out on myself, because I couldn't take it out on anybody else, of course. I couldn't address it with the person themselves. I couldn't go to them and be like, hey, you made me feel, hey, when you use this name, when you use my old name, bro, like, it made me feel like you kind of betrayed me, dude. Made me feel like you weren't, like, you know, on my side and shit. I don't know, dude. Like, hey, as an example, that's kind of a bit of the situation. but I'm not gonna get into it. That's old news. Yeah, I kind of, I felt like I was slipping. I felt like I didn't have much control. I felt like it does this. We was doing this. We had just got done doing this. Okay, it started doing this, and now it started doing that. That's all it was. And I think in those moments, like, I can't say in the future, but the key is it's good to reassess your beliefs. It's good to, find out why you believe things and to kind of go back and see if you've learned new things that would get rid of whatever the fuck you used to believe. It's good to do that. But if you haven't, you shouldn't just gaslight yourself and be like you're a fucking narcissistic piece of shit for believing this. You shouldn't just be like, hey, there's no way, Chief. Like, you shouldn't just be like, hey, the reasons that you think this are because you're, like, fucked up and broken. It's like, I do have an acumen. I do have, like, somewhat of an ability to discern. Like, sometimes I'm in some pretty distorted emotions, for sure. For fucking sure. But, like, it caused me to completely toss my own perception out the fucking window. It caused me to, like, the whole world around me became very kind of, like, confusing. My internal world became very confusing. Everything became so confusing, and it all kind of spiraled up from too much meaning. Six of that shit, I guess. I kind of big banged a little bit. And then it all became meaningless for a little bit. Like, and I was, like, numb. And I kind of, I don't know, I, like, went back in to, like, reassess what I believe and if it's good to, like, if I still believe it, basically. Not if it's good to, because good and bad mental concepts, spirit, you're both, they good with bad, they go together, is one thing. But I think I had spent quite a lot of time trying to tell myself to stop believing it because it was bad, because it's bad. For whatever reason I could come up with that fit the bucket of bad. I would just say, stop believing it because it's bad. It's very bad. But I couldn't, like, pull up a thing that was, like a thing that was, like, you're not. Like, a reason that would go back and disprove the reason, like, the initial reasons why I came to that conclusion. I had to figure out how the fuck I had this conceptualized, I guess. Okay, the initial reasons I came to these conclusions, I hadn't experienced anything that had undid that. I just became disconnected. That's it. And once I started getting reconnected, it was right there. And I went back in and reassessed what I believed, and, like, why. And I guess, how do I feel? I feel like my logic, my, like, emotions, and my attachment to it makes sense. It makes sense. It seems like my essence. It seems like I'm attached to it because it's, like, me and shit. And it doesn't seem like I'm necessarily, it seems like I'm anchored to it. Like, my spirit is anchored to it because I'm living this life as it. And it's actually like a feature. Something that we thank our bodies for. Being an anchor for the spirit. Does that mean a fetter? A fetter means a chain, like something that restricts. An anchor means something that you can, like, come back to. So that you can expand. It's like a leash for a soul bird. Have you ever seen fucking Midnight Gospel? It's like the leash for the soul bird. And you only need a leash for your soul bird when you're in soul prison, when you're locked up. Otherwise it's in there and part of you and shit. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly, like I still believe what I believe. I still believe in who I am. I still believe that it's like my designation of the cell, or of a cell. The designation of my cell is like being, embodying this archetype or this energy, whatever the fuck. That's what I believe. Not constantly, because sometimes I get disconnected, but it's always there. It's never steady, it's never stationary. But like as it develops over the course of my life, like it seems like that's what it is. And what does that mean I have to do? Or nothing. Nothing at all. It's what's been happening the whole time. And it's a way that I have to understand myself. And it seems to work. It seems to work. I'm realizing that it like literally does not matter at all if anybody believes me on this, because it's not real out there. It's not tangible. It's not something you can hold. Whatever it means to somebody else is whatever it means to somebody else. I can't control that. I don't want to control that. Diversity is part of the beauty of nature. I can't control what other people think, and I have no reason to. It's a waste of energy to try to. It is an energy drain. It'll fuck up your sacral chakra. It doesn't get you anything. Not only does it not get you anything, like, if you don't believe it, no one else will, first of all. And so until you get to a certain point of, like, confidence on the inside, like, you can't expect anybody else to validate it like that, because only you can. And if you have already validated it, like, if you've already been there for yourself, like, saying this, like, going around on the outside trying to get others to say it, like, that's not going to make you believe it anymore. You know what I mean? And it was like, I was trying to find a way to make it, like, tangible. Yeah, to make it tangible, to make it, like, a thing I could hold. I was trying to find a way to do that. I was getting preoccupied with it. Kind of like manifesting, I guess. But, and like, I guess I'm still kind of on this a little bit. Like, trying to manifest this energy. But I'm realizing I don't need to try to manifest the energy from this, like, from the perspective of trying. All there really can be done is, like, acceptance and openness to allow the energy to, like, kind of come through. Like, I don't need to, like, shape it. I don't need to make it come out in a specific kind of way, I guess. Because that would be judgmental. Like, that would be, like, prejudice. It would be prejudice. It doesn't mean just be, like, do whatever you want. Like, there's laws and rules and things, and there's 7 laws in this universe, and they count, and you go abide by them, whether you like it or not. And I am. Indeed. And there's something that I have to do, kind of, to, like, make it real. Like, it just, like, is. To me. For me. And how real it is to anybody else is however real it is to anybody else. If it's bullshit to somebody else, if it's delusion, if it's, I think it doesn't matter, because my job is not to make other people believe me in this life. My job is not to convince the world. My job is not to be like, look at me, wow, look at me. My job is to, like, make music. To spread understanding of the self in any kind of way. It's about the message. It's not about me. Like, that understanding, that insight, that way of understanding myself, that knowledge, it's for me. It's for me. It's pretty much just for me. It's for me. It's like I can share it with others, but whether or not they believe it or not, first of all, it doesn't affect its, like, validity inside me. Whether or not another person, because they've experienced different things. We've had different paths. We've had different amounts of variables. We've had different perspectives, operating from different places. So it's gonna look different. However it looks to me, it's gonna look different to somebody else. It's just by nature of it. And that's good. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And so in order to maintain the attitude of show me the truth, of I don't know the truth, I know my truth, show me the truth. I'm open to input. I am open to input, y'all. I am open to input. If y'all is seeing this and like someone that like is way further along their path and like can just like see this from a mile away type thing, whatever it might be, I have I say see this from a mile away because I have it conceptualized in my head as some demonic entity that has hijacked me. And I know it's not this. Because things in this universe are yin yang. And I also know that it's me. Because it's tied to my essence. It's tied to, like... literally, once I start making music, once I start gardening, once I start working with animals and plants, once I start dancing, once I let loose, it's just there. It's just in front of me. Like, the perspective is just there, dude. It's just there. It's like... a part of me wants to hear it from somebody else. A part of me wants to think that the reason I conceptualize it the way that I do is because of a demon, not the essence itself being the demon. The reason I conceptualize it like this is the demon, and maybe, time will tell. But if somebody else sees that and would like to share their 2 cents, I'm open to it. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, because I'm trying to pursue truth. I'm trying to work for the consciousness, the I am, the earth and shit, you know, coherence and love and stuff. It's not about personal power, because we are all God, we are all one. There's no separation at all. There's no separation at all, and so we all have it all. The entire universe is contained within the mind. I don't need anything. I don't need to be great. I don't need to be seen. I don't need to be recognized. I don't need to be heard. I don't need to be validated. I don't need to be right. This is just what I believe. It's what I currently know about myself. Subject to change. Subject to oscillation. Always. But I'm realizing that if I do believe that, it's very important that I let myself believe it. And then pursue truth from that place. It can't come from a place of repression. It can't come from a place of judgment. It can't come from a place of I'm a bad person for believing this, so I need to find a way to make myself stop. It's come from a place of, okay, I believe this right now. I understand why I believe this right now. Let's keep our mind open and carry on. And be open. And be authentic about it. I could be real. I could be like, if somebody tells me that they think I'm wrong, and they think it's not real, it's like, well, yeah, of course. Of course it's not real. It's not real the same way that a color isn't real. Of course it's not real. It's real to me. And maybe I can make it real for you too. What if, right? What if? But it would never happen without, or it would never happen if it starts with a shutdown. If it starts with a... It can't happen like that. And if I can create that for somebody else, to bring that energy into their life in some way, to help them, maybe I could teach them, whatever the fuck. I don't know why the fuck I'm even thinking about teaching, but a part of me really wants to teach, I'm not gonna lie. I really want to teach. And another part of me judges me for that and tells me that I have nothing to say, and that I can't teach nobody nothing, and that I'm too screwed up to be able to toss out my 2 cents or whatever the fuck. And I'm not saying that what I have to say would teach anybody, but I don't know, I want to at least try. I don't know, dude, I want to try. And I don't know, I guess it comes down to, what if it is real? What if it is true? What if it is? I definitely would never be able to do anything with it if I'm just sitting there telling myself I can't. If I'm just sitting there telling myself, don't. If I'm just sitting there telling myself, repress, hold it down, that's the bad one, do not show. and be able to do anything with it like that. If I have this in me, I do. Since I have this in me, I guess it would be much more beneficial, productive, and like love-oriented, and like coherent, and like unconditional of me to be like, okay, to be like, it is okay to believe this. It is okay. I don't need to judge myself for it. I don't need to consider myself to be a bad person for my beliefs. I don't need to have it in my head like this. I don't need to consider my soul to be a demon. Yeah, I definitely don't need to do that. I don't need to consider my higher self to be a demon. I don't gotta, yeah, I just don't gotta think like that. I don't gotta think like that. And I have been. I'm realizing that, like, I don't think I do think like that. I think it's just like a fear pattern. Like it's a what if, it's a series of what ifs. It's not like a seeing it as that and then being like, it's a fucking demon. It's a fucking demon. More like a what if it's a demon? What if it is? What if that's what's happening? What if? Regardless though, in the 7th dimension or the 6th dimension, can't remember. 6? 6. Architects? I think. In the 6th dimension, one of them. In one of them, angels and demons are like working together. They're like buddies. They buddies. And so angels and demons, this concept is like, it's not really, they're not against each other. They're not fighting. Like, it's all spirit. It's all God. It's all Brahman. It's all the self. It's all the I am, whatever you want to call it. It's all the one. And its many shapes. And its many variations. And its many fractalizations. Yay. There is no such thing as demon, like all bad, or angel, all good. One of them brings order. One of them brings chaos. And they're both yin-yangs. Because you can have too much order. You can have bad order. You can have bad chaos. And not bad, but like ways that we find as human beings to be good or bad. The thing that the part of me that's worried about if this is a demon or not. The ego, my pain body. The traumatized part of me, my sacral chakra. Yeah. Like, demon in the way that I had to conceive, that like I kind of got scared of, like, yeah, things are not like that. Things are gray in this universe. Things are gray. There's no such thing as all black. There's no such thing as something that happens because there's no such thing as anything in this universe happening like as a personal fuck you from God. Things are not like that. God is love. God is love. And it all happens to bring spirit, consciousness, the self, bring it understanding about itself. The whole process, in all of the ways that it might oscillate. That's all it's about. And that can happen in the form of whatever we conceive to be as angel or whatever we conceive to be as demon. I think in the first story of the Bible, kind of talk about this a little bit. It's like a fundamental thing, like Cain and Abel live in both of them live in each of us. Each of us are Cain and Abel. And you can pick to be a Cain, you can pick to be an Abel. I think more like it does look at us. If we're all being honest. That doesn't mean you always behave. It doesn't mean you behave like Cain. But a lot of times, well, yeah, no, it definitely means you don't behave like Cain. But I think we've all gotten to states where we're like mad at the world, shaking our fist at the air at God, shit, like God's not up there, God's in there, but fucking. We've all gotten to states where we're feeling like a Cain. Not where we're like feeling murderous, but feeling like the unloved one, feeling like the left out one, feeling like cheated by the world, feeling. Yeah, that's basically Cain. Hopefully without the murder part, bro. Don't do that. Do no harm, of course. Fucking, don't feel like that. Yeah. I don't know who I'm saying that to, but fucking, I don't. Fucking. Yeah. And sometimes we're unable. Sometimes you're the encourager, the compassionate lover, the friendly community person, you know what I mean? The one who's being a shining light. I think everybody kind of has both inside. And it oscillates a little bit. And although I think it's very important to, like, I find it important to try and be as conscious as possible, to like dwell there and to like aim there when you're not there and to like make it a priority and shit. There is such a thing as like, you need to rest, things need to change, things need to oscillate, nothing can stay stagnant ever. You can't always be in one state. You can't always be fully conscious. You can't always be any one instance of yourself, any one part of yourself. You can't always be in one part. You can't always be in bliss. You can't always be in, well, not every part of you can always be in bliss. But fucking, that's okay. Like, this is what pushes us forward in time. This is what pushes us forward in time. And so, like, could I be wrong? I guarantee you, whatever I currently believe is a half-truth anyway. It is for all of us. It's always half-truth, half-lies. It's a yin-yang. Or not lies, but distortion, deception, whatever you want to call it. For every single human being, nobody has the whole truth, of course. I'm not different. I'm not separate. I'm not above anybody. I don't have the whole truth. I just have my truth. I just have what I believe. I just have what I think. I just have my slice of the Brahma. I just have my perspective. And that's okay. And that's okay. And it doesn't matter if anybody else believes me. It doesn't matter if anybody else takes my word for it. I hope nobody does. Please don't. Do not take my word for it. Do not take my word for it. Find out. Discern. Say, show me the truth. Do not take my word for it. Indeed. Do not take my word for it. But indeed, this is what I believe. This is what I believe about myself. I believe in myself to be Shiva, to be an incarnation, embodiment, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The life that I'm living this as is that. That's what I believe. That's what I believe about myself. That's what I believe my purpose is or whatever, my mission. And dude, it might change. Almost certainly it'll change in some way. And that's good and okay. It's good and okay. And I say, show me the truth. And I say, let's see what happens. And I also say, I accept myself. I love myself. I'm rooting for me. I hope it is true. I hope it is true. I hope it is. But it's like a color, always. It's true to me. It's true to me. I guess what I'm saying is I hope it ends up being something that lasts. I hope it ends up being something that lasts and sticks around, and I hope something I get to hold on the inside, bro. I guess something that I get to believe about myself for a long time, for the rest of my life. I hope. I can't promise that. In fact, I can promise change in some way. I can promise change. Because it's the whole thing. It's all it is change. Always. It's actually never stationary. It only seems stationary when you get stuck in the past. But, yeah. That's what I believe. And it's okay if nobody else believes me. It's okay if everybody else thinks I'm fucking crazy. It's okay if everybody thinks I'm delusional and nobody ever wants to talk to me again. Because as long as I'm operating from a place of love, as long as I'm doing it with the right intentions, and as long as I'm being true to myself,